You've been writing a column, The Gospel According to Mark.
That's right.
For a couple of years now. How many years?
4 years.
4 years. You attended a reading by Chuck Palahniuk, his book Lullaby.
That's right.
Take it from there for us.
It was a life-changing moment. I walk up like any other guy with my book. He's like, oh, would you please sign my book? And I give him my name so he can sign it. And he says, oh, yeah, I know who you are. I read your column. And I got to tell you, it was a life-changing moment because as a result of him knowing my columns, he recommended me to his agent, who then recommended me to his editor, who bought the book in 2 days.
Oh, my God.
2 weeks later, we sold the movie rights to Columbia Pictures.
2 days later?
2 weeks after.
2 weeks later.
2 weeks after that, we sold the movie rights. So they're already in development right now. They actually, the guys who are writing the screenplay for the sequel to Meet the Parents are writing the screenplay.
Oh, I can see that.
Yeah, can't you?
Yes, perfect.
Yeah.
So who's going to play the lead character? It's got to be Ben Stiller.
Well, yeah, I get that a lot. I have to say, occasionally I get people, as I'm walking out of bars and things, people are like, oh, there's Ben Stiller. Yeah, and I'm always like, oh, here, no pictures, you know. So.
But how, we didn't get the answer to how real to life is this story?
This book, How I Paid for College, is my loopy love letter to my nutty friends from high school. This book is for all the freaks and geeks who dressed weird and sang show tunes in their halls, what we used to call the play people.
Yeah.
I know people in Pink Martini are like, hey, that was me.
Yeah.
Right, am I right? So, in terms of the actual scheme in the book, no, in the words of Richard Nixon, I am not a crook, okay? So the only thing I ever stole was a scene.
And your parents aren't really like the parents in the book?
No, my parents would love it if I said on television that they actually paid for college. My father paid for college, and they're terrific. They are stranger than fiction, actually, my parents.
That's the next book.
Yeah, the story remains to be told about my nutty parents.
You went from writing the book to the movie awfully quickly. Let's start out, Lake Oswego, Cynthia Whitcomb.
Yes, so there was an intermediate step in there, which is that after I met Chuck at that reading, I found myself sitting next to him at a screenwriting workshop taught by Cynthia Whitcomb, who is a Hollywood screenwriter who works right out of Lake Oswego here. So we got to know each other there, and as a result of getting to know each other better, I think the thing that's really important to understand about the story, and what I learned, was the power of thinking big but starting small. You know, if I hadn't been writing this column, then he wouldn't have known who I was.
Right.
And yet it's ended up turning into this amazing kind of chain of events. I think when you set your intention on doing something, the universe responds with this huge cosmic yes. And that's exactly what's happened here. You realize I was working full-time when I wrote this book.
Right.
And weren't you writing it like at stoplights and in between?
Stoplights and sales calls.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, we
60 hours
do
a week.
encourage that in the car.
Yes.
Stoplights. All right, so the next step, Gil Chesterton, the character
what it is,
Frasier.
exactly. There's another very strange kind of cosmic circumstance here, is that Chuck's agent is also an actor, which is a peculiar circumstance.
Chuck Palahniuk.
Chuck Palahniuk's
Now, for those who don't know, writer of The Fight Club, Lullaby, Chuck Palahniuk.
Right.
Okay, his agent.
New York Times bestselling author, lives right here in Portland. His agent is Edward Hibbert, who played Gil Chesterton on TV's Frasier. Now, one of the books that influenced me the most in writing this was a book called Blue Heaven, which is written by an author named Joe Keenan, who is, as it turns out, the head writer on Frasier.
Oh,
so when I wrote to Edward about the book, I mentioned Joe Keenan's book. Here's the weird part. What I didn't know...
The weird part? Another weird part.
Welcome to my world. Another weird part is that Chuck's editor at Random House was the editor of Joe Keenan's Blue Heaven. Never in a million years would I have guessed that the author of books about apocalyptic violence would have the same author.
This was meant to be. This was really meant to be.
One with, from your lips to God's
all we
ears.
want to do, all we want to do